William Hill sponsors IFL TV.
I'm the man to beat Daniel Dubois. We're going to sleep.
Matt, you wait a minute.
Stunning win for Ruiz tonight, Adam.
Stunning win for Ruiz and utterly deserved. His camp were confident from the word go. You know, they took it at 5 weeks' notice and he begged Eddie Hearn for the chance and, you know, everybody looked past him, I think, bar the sort of few people around him. I mean, I was in Vegas when the fight was announced around the Canelo-Jacobs weekend, and we spent a day with Andy the next day, and he was doing some promo shoots, and to be honest, it looked as though, despite the fact he'd been training obviously hard for Dimitrenko, that, you know, whether 5 weeks would be enough, and, you know, he obviously had quick hands, but Joshua had a full training camp. Yes, he was meant to fight Jarrell Miller. Yes, there's a change of opponent, but I think everything had gone physically perfect for Joshua in camp, and mentally it didn't seem to tonight. And I wonder if a mixture of things, whether he had overlooked him slightly or the team had, or I mean, it must be difficult when everybody says you're going to walk through this guy and let's talk about Deontay Wilder.
Probably start believing it yourself that it's that easy.
You do, and I think all the questions from everyone this week were about Wilder and Fury, and so few about Andy Ruiz that actually, you know, he's in there with a heavyweight who had a really good record, both as an amateur and a pro, one controversial loss out in New Zealand, never been down, and I think he grew with confidence. I think he showed a great chin. I think he didn't panic. He didn't sort of throw massive caution to the wind every round. He first 2 or 3 sort of eased into it, and then the third round when he went down, everybody thought, well, that's it, Joshua's power will do the job, and the way he bounced back from that, it's like that was a Mexican fighter who has fought big guys since he was a kid and was not scared.
It seemed like every bit of good work from Joshua was followed up by Ruiz's best work.
Yeah, and Joshua's good work was in spits and starts, wasn't it? He never really sustained it. He never really was in control. He just looked, I thought in the first round when he was sort of on his back foot and utilising the jab, I thought, okay, but actually why didn't he get in the middle of the ring and sort of shoot the big jab up and back him up quickly? You know, there weren't the uppercuts that I thought he'd throw. I thought he was hurt a little bit by body shots, and I don't know, I just think, listen, it was a bad night for AJ in the office, as David said. Did it show his vulnerability, his fragility? I think we knew that, you know, with the Vladimir Klitschko fight. We know that he's been in battles. We know he's got, you know, had the big heart. But, you know, at the end, he was almost at the end of his tether thinking, what do I do? And you've just got to take your hat off to Andy Ruiz Jr., who is the first Mexican heavyweight champion. Who'd have thought it? It's a huge upset, a massive shock, and you know that's what boxing's about. And in a way, it makes the story even more compelling about how AJ will come back from it.
It was so ironic that, you know, people within boxing that had seen Andy Ruiz fight were kind of having to tell people that, whoa, forget what he looks like, this guy can fight. But the casual fans have had to realise with a harsh reality how good Andy Ruiz is tonight, and it's not really.
Well, I think that's the problem. You know, you sort of look at him and think one thing. I mean, the amount of messages I had earlier today saying, "What, you know, who's AJ fighting this fat Mexican?" And I think that he dines out on that because he's always had that, Andy. And I think, you know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you've got a bodybuilder who's not necessarily a good boxer. You know, the build of fighters. Larry Holmes is one that was never sort of chiseled, and I think that, you know, sometimes you get put off by that. You think you put him on the scales, he weighed heavy at 19.2, he looked slightly out of shape, but obviously he was in terrific shape to command the sort of performance he did tonight.
And how big is the rematch now?
The rematch is enormous. Massive. And I think now, you know, you thought he'd get through Ruiz and he'd fight a Pulev or someone back in Britain, but now this is enormous, and this is where the story goes. I thought he showed great class, Anthony, at the end, as I knew he would. When he got beat, when he lost for the first time, I knew he'd show class and respect, and he didn't want to carry on the interview with Chris Mannix. He was like, this is not my night, this is Andy Ruiz's night. But, you know, he'll hurt a lot in the next few days. He'll go back to the drawing board, he'll regroup with his team, and, you know, Matt lost in I think maybe his 10th, 11th fight. David Hay the same, you know, Paulie against Cotto here. Paulie was a world champion a year later. Matt should have been a world champion, fought many times for the world title. And then David Hay came back and had a terrific career, became unified cruiserweight champion, world heavyweight champion. So there's a lot more in the Joshua storybook, but obviously that invincibility that maybe we didn't think he had because of the Klitschko and Dillian White performances and the first couple of rounds of Povetkin. But actually, the casual fans may have thought that. Has gone, and I think that's no bad thing. I think he's got to regroup. He's a sportsman, and he's got the competitive instinct. I'm sure the fire will burn fully inside him, and the rematch is massive, and he's obviously going to get it next.
Yeah. Adam Smith, thank you very much.
Cheers, Cougar.
William Hill sponsors IFL TV.
I'm the man to beat Daniel Dubois. We're going to sleep.